All right, welcome back again to Lot Life episode. I don't know which one.
I have no clue at this point.
We are here back in Randall Ford Studios for part 2.
We've done like 20 of these today.
Yes, of our exciting adventures. We have not done 20 of these today. Once again, Andrew has trouble with colors and counting.
Yeah.
So
Math.
We've discovered that. As you just watched in the other episode that we did, part 1 of questions your salesman will ask you. This is questions you can ask your salesperson. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, since you know what we're going to cover, Andrew?
Guys, go ahead and click the subscribe button, or the link to the subscribe button. Let's go to our YouTube. It just helps us get out there. If you don't mind, press that share button too. Just drop us a like, and it helps us.
It does?
It does. It helps us. I was going to say, it's a...
It puts air in our pockets.
That's all it does. It really does. At this point, that's all it does. Until we get big enough, it ain't doing nothing.
Right. But it is fun.
But you can help us by just pressing one little button.
Yes,
maybe
please
it's
do it. And share these too. We haven't got as many shares out there. We'd like to get those out there too. So, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that important?
Yeah.
I don't really understand how.
Yeah, shares is important.
Okay.
Yeah, but
right.
I'd rather just go subscribe to our YouTube.
Yeah, subscribe. Yeah, that's
subscribe.
What we want. Subscribers.
We're trying to get to 40 people by the end of this week. So.
Yeah. So, it is still Saturday.
It is still Saturday.
We still have our 10% sale going crazy strong. It is running through the end of this month. It is good. The last podcast I forgot to mention, of course this is a week later, but the Best of the River Valley contest voting is open. Please click can you put a link on this?
I can put a link on there, and click the link on there too, and it'll let you vote.
Please go vote. We want Randall Ford for Best Dealership. We also have our very own Jimmy Haas as Salesman of the Year. It's an important title. We'd like to take all these things home. We would ask you humbly for your vote. Please go do that.
It takes 2 seconds to vote.
Yes.
It's not very hard.
Yes. So now, let's get
back to
this is the fun part. We covered what we might ask you. Now some things to help in effort of efficiency and to help you get the best experience possible. These are some things you might ask your salesperson. Yeah. Before we get into it, what's the craziest thing anybody's ever asked you as a salesperson?
What's the craziest thing? If I was single.
Okay. I don't know why anybody would assume you're not.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know why you had to take me like that. Why not?
Draw first blood. That's what I've always been told. But anyway, questions to ask your salesperson.
Yeah, so, it had nothing to do with anything, and it was just fun. Yeah.
But anyway,
what about you? You were a salesman at one point. What's crazy? Someone asked you.
I was. It was like, do you ever think you'll have somebody as goofy as Andrew working for you?
I bet if you told yourself 10 years ago that you'd be on podcasts on the internet and YouTube, talking with some goofy guy on the internet, would you believed yourself?
I've been. One, what is a podcast?
Yeah, that's true.
And 2, how do they put a video on this flip phone? I don't. It's just like I get the little. Yeah, how can you watch that on the little picture right there? Yeah, and you're interrupting my game of Snake.
That's true.
So questions you can ask.
Podcast.
Yes, that is the title of the thing.
Questions
what we're talking
you ask.
about.
How long have you been in car sales?
Yes,
that's
a great question.
Good question to ask.
Ask your salesperson that. And why is that important?
Because if they haven't been in sales very long, they don't have much knowledge, and they may steer you in the wrong direction.
Right. Then they're just going to have to be asking people. They're not going to be able to help you.
Yeah.
And again, it goes to the efficiency of the car sale, and that's going to slow it way down.
You know what a lot of people think, and I'm just going to tell you, a lot of people think like, oh, well, the salesperson hasn't been doing this for, less than a week. We're going to get a great deal. That doesn't always mean something there.
Right.
Because usually they're just getting led by managers.
Yeah, because does he determine what kind of deal you get?
No,
he is just going and asking questions, and then he's probably going to mess it up somewhere along the line. Maybe
Correct.
He won't, but it's not going to be the best experience for you as a buyer, probably. I learned that the hard way in buying a house. I had a friend that had just got into the real estate business. I had never bought a house before, so didn't really know what it involved. He had just got his real estate license. I said, oh, that'll be great. I'll help you out. And let's go, do this. He didn't know what he was doing. I didn't know what I was doing, so that made the blind leading the blind, and it made for a long, drawn-out experience, and not the best experience. It was so...
Well, but then again, you got to think, there wasn't a lot of realtors by the time that you were buying your first house, though, too, and those things were going for $10.
Right. Well, and they just, we moved out. It's like, we're tired of caves.
Yeah, you're tired of pushing that door open with a big old boulder.
Else. It's a house.
Yeah.
So it was boards leaned up against a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, you went from rocks to trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Yeah, your realtor, I bet he had a hard time.
Yeah.
Finding places. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't him.
Yeah. He worked for Century 5. It wasn't 21 yet. Anyway, so yeah. How long have they been in car sales? And maybe they've been in the business for a while. Ask them how long they've been at their current dealership. And why is that important?
Well, I mean, if you have a salesman that's jumping from dealer to dealer, then he's probably not good, or he just can't be consistent of where he's at.
Correct.
So
because as a consumer, and what we try to foster here is kind of a family atmosphere.
Yeah.
We like to have salespeople that have been here for a long time, because whenever you buy that car, and 6 months down the road, if you have some issue with it, it would sure be nice to go back and talk to the person that sold you that car, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also that will also probably go with the dealer itself.
Yes.
How it takes care of his employees.
Yes.
Because if you have salesmen that's staying there for a really long time, most of the time it's the dealership taking care of the salesman too.
Yeah.
So if you don't, then they're probably not doing very well, and they're just gouging stuff and getting into deeper.
Yeah, and it gets into, ask your salesman how many dealerships he's worked for. Mm-hmm. I have worked for Randall Ford.
Yeah. I have worked for 2 other dealers than this.
Yes. But
in my time.
It's still just 2. We've had people come through here, and I know people in the business that have worked for 6, 7, 10 dealerships. For one, they're probably just always looking for the greener grass, and you have to water your grass. You have to fertilize your grass. You make your grass green. You don't just go find green grass.
And let me tell you, this third dealership, they say the love is at the third dealership, or your third spouse. I don't know, some whatever. I don't know where I was going with that. But anyways, I have been at Randall Ford for 2 years. Yeah, I've been at Randall Ford for 2 years.
Yeah,
so.
and the
longest dealership.
The phrase that pays, and he doesn't know what that is because he's a little clueless sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's what we like about him, is that we can always trick him into things. But anyway, I was just waiting to see how long it would take. How many dealerships have you worked for? Which one was your favorite? And the reason that's important is because if you go into any town, there's going to be, if you ask a few people, dealerships have reputations.
They do.
Some reputations are good, some reputations are not so good.
Correct.
If one of those places that has a bad reputation for what they may or may not do for their customers, and that turns out to be that person's favorite dealership, there might be a little bit of a red flag there.
Yeah, I've worked for one of those dealerships that didn't have a great reputation.
Uh-huh.
That's why I left.
It makes it hard for you to...
It made it very hard, especially since I'm a social media person, and everybody's on social media.
Yes.
So.
Yes, because you will get roasted these days for that kind of stuff. Some don't care. They just keep on rolling.
Correct.
Another one that's nice to know is, did the person grow up here? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the detractor if they didn't, but if they did grow up here, then they have roots in the community, and chances are that they're going to take care of their customers because they want to be well known in their community.
Not only that, you may know.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll end up knowing, especially if someone likes it. What I run into here is, which is, I grew up in Oklahoma, but in Arkansas, but that's just right across the road from here. But I have people that I run into that I know that just they work right down the, Joe works down the street, and I know Joe too, and they know Joe, and then it builds a relationship with your salesman and yourself. So.
Yeah, because it's important. Again, we want to earn you as a customer for the dealership.
Correct.
Not just for that car, but we want to capture all of your business and all of your friends' business and your family. The way we do that is by making sure that we take care of you.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of work up front to make sure everything's done. But on the back end of that, the reason we do that is in hopes that you will recognize what we have helped you with, and you will in turn refer people to us and
Correct.
come see us every time.
And we don't want you telling Joe that we treated you bad, because Joe knows me, and I want Joe to buy from me too.
Sure.
You know?
Another thing that you can ask people, or your salesperson, is what do they drive?
That is true too, because the reason is if they're driving something other than what they're selling, sometimes that's a sign.
Yeah. It could be a sign of a couple things. We talked earlier about credit challenge. Just because,
that's true.
Just because they're a salesperson doesn't mean necessarily they have the best credit.
That's true.
It's not a bad thing, but
for all you salesmen out there that are watching this podcast, if you don't have great credit, but you do know how to build it, I will tell you that. They know how to do it. They know everything to do because they see it all the time. They just choose not to.
Uh-huh. But, what do you drive? We would like to think that you drive something that represents the dealership that you work for. Mm-hmm. In some cases, people are just loyal to a brand that they had way before they went to work for that dealership. True. They might just love Toyota. Let's just say,
I was thinking the same thing, Toyota.
And no matter what, they can love the dealership that they work for at that time, or they can really like the dealership a lot, but their first love might be Toyota, and that's what they're going to return to. And again, that's just loyalty to a brand.
The brand.
Toyota built brand in that, or loyalty in that person.
Mine was always Ford. My first car was a Ford.
Yeah.
Mine was a Ford Taurus. The very first car I ever bought was Ford Taurus. So, which I have an
Bubble
F-150
Taurus?
now. What?
The Bubble Taurus?
No.
With the scoop signs?
I'm not that old. Not that old, for one. No, the first was a Ford Taurus, and then now I drive, of course, an F-150. But I was going to say, isn't his vehicle that you're talking about, which is Billy Hines, is the one that we're talking about. He is a Toyota lover.
We love you, Billy.
We love you, Billy, but he is a Toyota lover. But isn't he driving a Lexus right now?
Yes. Yeah. With his cousin.
Lexus is a great brand too.
Yes.
So is Toyota.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I think we talked about that a few podcasts before. I had a guy at my house spraying for bugs, and he was like, I'm a Toyota Tacoma guy.
Toyota
Can't sway me. That's what I'm going to drive. So I'm like, okay, by all means.
Did he talk like that too?
In case he is one of the 4 people tuned in right now, I'm not going to say.
Well, so yeah, just ask them what they drive to, and that'll depend on it. And you can ask them why they drive that vehicle. Because if they're driving, say, a Subaru, there's Subaru lovers. There's some Subaru only fans, is what they are.
Yeah.
But if they're driving like a 97 something, I don't know.
And again, this is just more of a fun question to ask to kind of fill it out on them. To give you an idea. And again, if they're driving something really nice, then that's probably a sign that they are a pretty successful salesperson.
Correct.
Most successful salespeople don't get that way by not taking care of their customers.
Facts.
So that's another way to look at that. And again, whenever you work for a dealership, then you also have access to dealership pricing. So a lot of times that makes it almost a win-win for the dealership and for the
yeah, because there's a lot of salesmen here. We have a lot of salesmen here, even at this dealership, that if we get something that's a really good deal that we know that we can buy it at, we're going to go ahead and buy it because, it's a crazy deal. So we're going to go ahead and buy it.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings us back full circle to, although the discounts that we get right now on new vehicles are still not as good as the 10% off.
Yeah, 10% off is insane, guys. If you need to check out the 10% sale. That's on brand new vehicles other than what?
Raptors, Super Duties.
Yes. So anything else is 10% off on brand new vehicles. You need to check it out because that is.
Are Bronco Raptors included?
Bronco Raptors are included, and some of those are $9,000 in discounts, a little bit more than that, which is insane. There's not people doing that. I know in California, because we talked about in the last podcast, someone was trying to buy a Bronco Raptor from me in California. They're stickered for $125,000 when we're in the 80s, which is insane. That's crazy.
But the good thing is they can be working at McDonald's and afford that now.
Yeah, that is true.
In California.
That is true, because what are they making, like $25 an hour?
Yeah, I think so.
That's wild.
Yeah. But I think that probably covers everything. Make sure you go vote in Best of River Valley.
Yeah. And then go click the link
Click
for
the
our
link.
YouTube. We're trying to get to 40 subscribers, so if you'll help us out, like I said, it's a press a button for you, but it means the world to us. So go ahead and click the link, subscribe, share, and like. Guys, that's all we got. See ya.